Good day, everyone. Thanks for joining us here on Northwest Access TV. Happy to have Earl Fournier, the Swanton Selectboard Chairman, alongside today. We're taping this show on Monday, November 27th. Hope folks out there had a good Thanksgiving, and Earl, hope you did. I guess a bit of a COVID issue in the family. Last thing you need to deal with.
Well, it seems to be something that's going around right now, but everybody is feeling way better now, and that's what counts. Nobody got seriously sick, but sick enough.
That's good. Boy, Christmas less than a month away, so busy time of year, but
busy,
of course not too much going on in Swanton, not much for you to be dealing with. I'm kidding, of course. Well, where to start? I think I actually want to start with just one village issue, which we talked about before, but just for folks who didn't happen to see the news, Swanton Village, I guess, came out in pretty good shape on their wastewater upgrade project on November 7th. Was no surprise, a very small turnout, maybe under 10%.
Yeah,
but of those who turned out, pretty decisive vote in favor of it.
Pretty decisive. Something that needed to be done.
Yeah, it sounds like they had to do it.
It's just maintain it.
Yeah.
Now, the other issue that the town and the village are dealing with right now is the police issue.
Sounds like a big issue.
We have some numbers that have been put together here, and they're not final numbers, and they do not include any additional costs for the new fire building either.
Okay, so it doesn't include
that. No, we're still getting
the new public safety building?
This is just the public safety building and the costs associated with that, and also the cost of providing, they call it 20 hours a day, which is what the village does now. 20 hours, it covers the village 20 hours a day, 7 days a week. The other 4 hours are on call.
Yeah.
This same coverage, this proposal that we're going to discuss today, includes the same coverage for the town residents.
And right now the town's getting, what, 8 hours a day?
We're getting 50 hours a week.
50 hours a week?
50 hours a week right now. But there are some, this is not going to be cheap, okay, Richard? I mean, it's just going to be probably shocking to the town residents, the additional cost. And I've got some numbers here, and I'll read them off. They're looking at a total operating budget of almost $3,131,742.20. It'll be on the entire grand list of the town and the village. So if you live in the village or you live in the town, the tax rate will be the same. But that tax rate comes out at 4150, so 41.5 cents.
Yeah.
Now the effect on a property, and these values we have in here, and they're probably not realistic. But in a way they are, because the town hasn't done a reassessment in a long time, so probably some of the 275 to 350,000.
That's another St. Albans City, I think, heading needs a Does Swanton really need a reappraisal at this point?
We don't have to.
Okay.
But it's going to happen at some point in time.
And good luck getting reappraisal people these days. Sounds like that's become an issue. But anyway.
If you take a property that's assessed at $350,000 on the town's grand list, the increase to cover just this police proposal for public safety would be $1,452.59.
Wow. And this is per year.
Per year. Now, the bond payment obviously is higher in the beginning than it will be towards the end. But and the bond payment per year on that facility is $457,121. The major expense is providing the service. Additional. I think they're going to increase the staff by at least 2, but don't hold me to that.
Let me just back and I don't want to confuse myself, but again, so that's for coverage. Is that taking in the cost of the new public safety?
Yes.
That does take in the cost of the building.
That $1,400 increase in taxes takes into the cost of the public facility building for
Okay.
police protection.
That's in the new one that's now been
Yes,
proposed.
that's being
Okay.
proposed,
Yeah.
but that doesn't include any increase in cost for fire coverage because of that building.
Okay.
Those numbers will be available. We are having another public meeting. We're hoping that people will come so
Yeah.
they can ask questions and get familiar with this, and that's going to be on December 4th
December 4
at 7 p.m.
at 7 p.m.
at the Village Complex. And it will be available on Team, because the village uses a Team
Yeah,
thing.
that would be as in Monday, December.
Monday,
As in
December
actually
4th.
a week from, again, we're
a
taping this show
a
on
week
Monday,
from
November
today. Yeah, a
27th.
week from today.
Okay.
At that point in time, we should have all, at least a pretty good idea of the additional costs associated with the
Wow.
fire department proposal.
So the fire, I haven't heard really much of anything about the fire department. That they're looking to increase coverage from the fire department?
No, it would be, basically, the fire department is pretty much grand list supported now.
Yeah.
Even though it is a Swanton Village Fire Department.
Yeah.
But it has been like that forever. What they want, they're gonna move out into the new facility
Okay.
because the village wants to do some renovations where they are now
Yeah.
for their public works department.
Yeah.
That's what the plan is, and also to remodel inside the village building municipal offices to give them more space once the police move out. Now, where the police part of the municipal building
Yeah.
is very small. And
sure-
it
sure
is
is.
it is not adequate.
Yeah.
Nobody should question that.
Yeah.
And if they do, the Bill Sheets is going to have plenty of time,
Yeah.
open time for people to come in, and they can view that facility themselves.
Yeah, it's incredibly, it's no holding cell or
Right, no,
anything.
right.
It's-
I mean, it's not sufficient for today's needs, so they're going to have to do something with it.
Yeah.
One way or the other.
Yeah.
This is a proposal that they're putting out now. The town has had previous select boards too, have struggled with the issue of police coverage, and there are concerns by members of the community too, about police coverage.
Yeah.
So the board, right at the present time, irregardless of how people might feel about this,
Yeah.
are going to bring this proposal before the voters' town meeting time.
Town meeting.
But I want to make this clear.
Yeah.
This is not going to affect this year's budget.
Okay.
All right? This would not be until 2024 and possibly 2025.
And again, I keep
before.
asking, I think I'd remember this. You're on a calendar or fiscal year?
We're on a calendar year.
Calendar year.
Yeah, and our police coverage, it does run on a fiscal year from 1st of July to the 30th of June. But it would not start until at least 2024.
Okay.
So this year's tax rate wouldn't have this kind of effect.
Okay.
So we've got time to think about this, and it's going to depend on what the voters do too. But people need to understand, if we're going to have police protection,
Yeah.
it's not going to be cheap.
Yeah.
Even if they do not go with this proposal,
Yeah.
because of scheduling issues within the police department now itself, we're going to have to go with a little bit more coverage this coming budget year.
So basically, the village is ideally wants the town to be basically an equal partner
Yes.
with police, and
Yeah.
St. Albans City and Town, of course, are going that route
Yeah.
as of this July
Yeah,
1st.
very similar
Next July 1st.
situation.
Yeah.
There's been a proposed governance structure for this new venture,
Yeah.
which basically would be 3 village trustees or appointees,
Yeah.
3 town select members or appointees.
Yep.
The village manager would be a non-voting, be there to provide input.
Yeah.
Same thing with the town administrator.
Yeah.
The design is to provide guidance for the police department priorities, budgeting, staff levels, craft department vision, mission, values, and chief of police.
Yeah.
Now, to start with anyways, the village the village manager would still basically be the one that would be the point person for it.
Yeah.
And on a decision basis, and then they would come back and present what's going to this joint board.
It would still be Swanton Village Police
Yes.
Department? The
Yeah,
name would
well,
stay
I
that?
think that there will be a
Maybe the
change in the
Swanton
name.
Police
I believe they
Department.
will be, you know. And at the present time, well, this is, and some people might think that, that the town is, you know, basically providing police services, or helping to provide police service for the village, but this is not
No.
entirely true. But during this present transition period, to have the present structure in place with the village manager, because of course he has a lot of police experience,
There are a whole lot.
you know,
It's-
makes a
yeah.
lot of sense. And I think once this gets going, you're probably going to see more control involved by everybody other than just the village manager.
And you might, it sounds like
Yeah.
you might pick up a little more terrain. Sounds like the good folks in Highgate would love
Well,
to if it's possible.
I definitely wanted to bring that issue up.
Yeah.
In fact, I did have a conversation with the chair of the Highgate board
Yeah.
just a week ago.
Yeah.
And they're obviously not going to be able to get police protection from St. Albans.
That ends June.
That
June
ends
30th.
soon. And presently, they're not even providing what is in the contract. They're doing what they can by the hour. So they are looking for coverage, whether, you know, they could be part of this as an initial
Yeah.
thing, because the bigger the grand list, the more money we'll have to cover the fixed costs.
Yeah.
You know, the hard costs that are always going to be there, you
Yeah.
know, build and maintain its electricity, stuff like that. It would cost the operating would go up because it would take probably additional staff to cover another town.
Yeah.
But this idea of a district safety district is coming up more and more in the conversation.
As in regional policing, or another
Yes.
name for it, I guess.
Yeah, and I believe it's going to have to, because
Yeah.
it's very difficult for one town to afford the type of coverage that's
Yeah.
people would expect on their own.
Not to mention with staffing issues, again, Bill Sheets, a former, as you said, longtime VSP guy. I think when I asked him a month or two ago, I think statewide VSP were down about 60 troopers or something.
Yeah.
Sheriff's Department, I think, sounds like
Sheriff
everybody's
Department is
got.
the same issue.
Sounds like Swanton's been the exception. Bill Sheets reports he's called it the only fully staffed department in the state, is what he's told us, I
Yes,
guess.
he brags about that all the time.
Yeah, but,
And it's true.
yeah.
And
And of course, that's a department,
Yeah.
obviously, that would have to increase if
yes,
the town jumps in.
yes, yes, and it appears that we would be able to get additional staff based on what's been taking place there in the last couple of years, and I think this has a lot to do with the new chief.
Yeah,
He's done a really good job.
yeah,
And that's something that I feel is kind of important right now, because if this was ever going to be successful,
Yeah.
and go, you know, and grow into something, we have a chief, we have the right person.
Matt Sullivan being
Yes,
that new
Matt
chief.
Sullivan. We have the right person in that position right now
Yeah,
to, you know, to make this happen.
yeah,
But it's, the other thing I need to point out here, you know, I pointed out the effects on the town tax rate.
yeah,
The village tax rate essentially is going to remain about the same as it is right now.
yeah,
Okay? Because they're already paying at $1,400 for police coverage, okay?
Huh.
All right, so, and they're going to get the same
That's a
coverage.
good point. The coverage isn't increasing
No,
in the
the
village.
coverage isn't increasing, and
Same
some people may
coverage.
think, you know, that's not right.
Yeah.
But this is what they've been paying.
Right.
Because feel that it's important to have this coverage, so they're willing
Yeah.
to pay for it. So now what's going to happen is the people of the town are going to have to discuss, do they feel that we have to, you know, do we want this?
Yeah,
If we do, then we're going to have to pay this, you know, the cost.
yeah,
The only hope is that if we get to more regional policing,
Yeah.
that might be able to potentially lower the cost. But I don't see it getting a lot lower.
significantly lower.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, if the town, even under the best case scenario, I still see this at another $1,000
Really, yeah.
on a tax bill on a $350,000 home. That's
Wow. What's the average home in Swanton tax appraised, Earl?
it's under that.
Under that.
I think they're around the 250, 275 range, but that's on our grand list.
Yeah.
That's not market value.
Yeah, right.
So, but we have to raise our money off the grand list. So
Yeah.
that's the effect it's going to have.
Yeah.
And I don't see a really good alternative if we want police protection.
Yeah.
There is no other alternative.
Yeah.
Either we use this or we go back to the part-time. But if we go to part-time right now, because of the way the schedules are set up for the officers,
Yeah,
the village needs to go to increase our coverage from 50 to 70 hours a week
yeah.
to follow their 10-hour shift things.
So,
This will raise our costs right now up to $326,000 a year, which is probably another $100,000 over what we've been paying.
yeah,
Now, if they go to this, and if the village voters happen to approve this new facility and stuff, the cost of this facility is going to be rolled into the operation of the police department.
yeah,
So even if we contract with the village for this minimal amount of coverage,
yeah,
we're going to see a substantial increase in costs there too.
yeah,
I can see that easily going up to $500,000
yeah,
for minimum coverage.
yeah. When you say minimum, for basically the same.
70 hours.
Oh,
Yeah.
70 hours.
Yeah, and,
As opposed to 50.
And the way the schedule has been.
And
it's-
again, that's coming because 10-hour shifts are coming
Yes,
into.
yes,
Okay.
and in order for them to meet to schedule things, so they have officers not alone, and all the stuff that they have to abide by.
Yeah.
That schedule is working better for them. So, I mean, we're going to pay a fair amount for minimal coverage.
Yeah.
Maybe it's time that we definitely considered full-time coverage.
Has the select board taken a stand? Is
Yes,
there-
the select board is going to bring this full-time coverage proposal
Yeah.
before the voters in March.
Okay.
Town meeting.
And does the select board support this? or-
At the present time, we do because we don't see any alternatives. We're not going to argue against it.
Yeah.
We have concerns about the cost. There's no
Sure.
question about
That's
that.
obviously the big, I would assume you're not running into too many people who are saying, oh, we have plenty of police, we don't need or want more coverage. I assume there are not too many of those folks?
I haven't heard anybody actually say something along that
sure there's
line,
some-
but I have heard them say that, we just can't afford it.
Oh, sure. I mean, that sounds like
Yeah.
the key
Yeah.
issue,
Yeah.
as it often is.
So, I mean, we're going to have to look at this in terms of the overall effect on the town, and
Yeah.
where are there other areas that we can work on that maybe we can,
Yeah.
in some way make all these things affordable.
Yeah.
It's not going to be easy, for sure. But
We've talked before about, might as well mention the LOT, local option tax.
Yes.
We've talked before about that. Is that getting a little more
Well,
attention these days?
it's
or-
come up as part of this discussion. We had to take a look at the numbers. They're not going to throw you out of here.
Yeah,
Total in Swanton would be $274,488.
and that's Swanton. The state, of course, grabs 30% of this, but that's Swanton's
This is
share.
Swanton's net.
Okay.
That's net after the 30% comes
Okay.
off. So, I mean, it is money,
Yeah,
but it's certainly not going to pay for the.
yeah,
Maybe if we'd have done it 10 years ago and we had,
Sure.
$4 or $5 million, it would help.
yeah,
But I keep pointing this back, Richard. People need to understand the bond payment's $400,000.
yeah. 400, and how many years are we talking, probably?
I think he was 30 years.
Probably 30
And
years.
over the period of time, that bond payment goes down.
Does go down.
But you're looking at an operating budget of $3 million.
Wow,
So that bond payment's not a big part of
right,
what's affecting the tax.
Right.
What's affecting it is 27 coverage.
yeah, yeah,
And the staff to do that.
yeah,
Okay, so this is what the real issue is here, is do we want this coverage,
yeah,
or do we want to go with minimum coverage, as we've been doing?
yeah.
That's what the issue is,
Yeah, that sounds like the issue.
you know, and the
if-
village understands that, you know, that if they go with this type of updated facility, that it's gonna be almost impossible for them to afford it on their own.
Yeah.
But it's something that's needed to do, and
Well,
this is,
I guess that kind of begs a key question. If this does go down, if voters don't approve this, and then what? I mean, Swanton-
well, there hasn't really been a lot of discussion in that area. There's some consideration that maybe the village, you know, because part of what's driving this is the village complex itself is 50 years old.
Right.
They don't
That
have-
needs some work.
That needs some work.
Yeah.
The police department inside there is not adequate.
Absolutely not
Absolutely.
adequate.
So the public works department needs more space.
Yeah.
You know, electrical, they have water and sewer, so that's a big business. You know, so they could possibly, I've heard this as a rumor, that if, as a plan B, maybe go to a facility for the public works department and then
Yeah.
remodel what they're using now within the village complex, remodel
For the
that.
PD.
Yeah. It's not the ideal situation, but if it comes down to that, they may consider it. I don't know. I think if we're looking at the future with regional policing, then maybe we're better off to go with this facility has proposed,
Yeah.
because it would serve that purpose better than
Yeah.
trying to remodel in the existing.
Earl, to be clear, again, this may be me, but I suspect other folks have questions too. So again, you're looking to put this on the ballot for town meeting, for the town, for the annual village meeting? Do they have a,
Yes,
there's a
yes.
separate article?
Yes,
for
the
the
separate article for
villagers?
the village,
Okay.
to go forward with this.
Okay.
I mean, we both have to vote on it.
Okay,
And then after that, you know, how this gets handled in the future, I can envision that within, you know, in the future, that there'll be just one vote in the town,
yeah,
you know, for the police coverage, you
Yeah.
know. And this was, once all this transition takes place and it gets
Right.
up and running, you know, the governance structure, it's going to be a Swanton Police Department
Yeah.
eventually.
yeah,
It's not going to start out that way, and it shouldn't, because,
Yeah.
you know, we don't have a lot of experience in the police
Yeah.
area, so we got to learn. And right now, you know, the way it's being run is they're doing a good job.
and I've asked you that before. I mean, the town select board's been happy with the coverage, with your 8 hour, basically
Yes.
8 hours a day
Yeah.
that you're getting from Swanton Village PD.
Yeah,
So you think they've done a decent job
Yeah.
covering the town to
Well,
the 8 hours a day?
they've been very responsive. Chief Sullivan comes to our meetings once a month,
Yeah.
reports on the activity that's
Yeah.
taking place in the town, discusses what the police department is doing. He's been very upfront, very transparent, very committed to serving Swan
Yeah.
and providing a safe place for our community.
Yeah.
And the other thing, to me, he's a people person.
Yeah,
You know, he's not looking at criminals or people that are involved in the drug business as
Yeah.
being totally, you know, just let's get them off the street and
Yeah.
hide them somewhere.
yeah,
You know, he would like to help those people, and
Right.
you know, he understands that those are just arresting people is not the answer
Yeah.
to all these problems.
yeah,
And you know, it brings we feel good about the situation
yeah,
as it's going now. The only issue is, you know,
right,
especially, I'll give you an example, speeding.
yeah,
All right, people call up, but we can't call the Swanton Village Police Department and say, send one of your officers down here now.
Yeah.
Because our scheduled time is our scheduled time.
yeah,
And, you know, if it doesn't take place during that scheduled time,
Yeah.
then they have to call, then the resident the call will go to the Vermont State Police.
right,
And the village will respond if it's too long of a wait time from the Vermont State.
Yeah.
And it's an emergency, obviously, they're going to be
Yeah.
there first, who's ever
Yeah.
closest. But in a situation where there might have been a burglary last night,
Sure.
you might wait 2 days,
sure, yeah,
you know? And if people want to, and the other issue that's going on around here, and I think it's, you know, we can't ignore it, it's been around for a long time, is the drug issue.
yeah,
And,
Sounds like
we
the
just had,
huge issue.
we had a murder in Swanton 2 years ago.
yeah,
One of the individuals, just last week, I believe it was, there was 2 homicides in Burlington,
yeah,
drug-related.
Yeah.
One of those persons was under the radar here in Swanton.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh.
they were investigating him.
Yeah.
So this is, and there seems to be a fair amount of this going on right now in this area. I'm not trying to scare anybody, but I'm
No,
just
but
saying.
you're right. Anybody who's paying any attention, I mean, Burlington, I got to think Chief Sullivan,
Yeah.
far be it for me to speak for him, but I
Yeah.
got to think he might not be unhappy about having moved. He was, I guess, the number 2 guy
Yeah,
in Burlington.
yeah.
They've got, and of course, the defunding,
Yeah.
the cutting down, the downsizing the department, a huge issue. But no, there's crimes getting a ton of attention. Of course, the huge news that national media is picking up as we speak today on the 27th is the 3 Palestinian American
yes,
college
just-
students.
yeah,
That'll
just-
be all over national
yeah.
news. Thought to be at least a possible, if not likely, hate crime.
Yeah, it was on
No, you're-
national news this morning.
Yeah, it's a big-
No
big
doubt
story.
about it.
No, there's a lot of
Yeah.
stuff
And,
going on.
If you really think about it, rural areas like Vermont
Yeah.
are easy targets
Yeah.
for these small-time operators. Very little police activity.
Yeah,
they
I
can get
guess
away
It's
with.
been the issue. Drugs coming up from whatever New York, Hartford, wherever they come
Yeah,
from.
yeah, and it's easy money.
Yeah.
And we're going to have to deal with that.
Yeah.
And I just feel that my personal opinion is this is going to give us some opportunity to control the police service we have
Yeah.
in the future.
Yeah.
We'll have a say in it.
Yeah.
We'll have
Which
to.
you really don't have now.
We don't have now.
Yeah.
Right. And if we rely on the state police, we're not going to have any say either.
Yeah.
This particular proposal starts giving us say
Yeah.
and gives us coverage.
Yeah.
And, it's something that in the future, as long as we make sure that it's run the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And that'll be our responsibility. It'll be the community's responsibility. We should always have good police service
Yeah.
that is committed to the community and policing to better the community.
Yeah. And again, it sounds like from what the chief says, what village manager says, sounds like Swanton's doing pretty well these days, certainly from a
Yeah.
staffing and I think otherwise point of view.
Yeah. So, I mean, it is an opportunity, but it's
Yeah.
not without cost.
Sure. No, the cost is obviously significant.
Yeah. And right now, we're looking at putting together some numbers on a per capita basis, what police coverage in other communities costs. And some of the initial ones that I've seen,
Yeah.
we're not out of
You're not out of whack too much with others.
it's competitive.
Yeah.
It actually is lower probably than some, a little bit higher than that.
Yeah.
But this is just the cost of police protection.
Yeah.
So do we want it?
Yeah.
If you want it, then you're going to have to pay. Now, the town has a select board. We got to find ways to make these things affordable, and maybe we might have to make some changes in other areas of how we're going to pay for things. And this income tax, coming in could be helpful in the future.
When you say income tax, the local
Well, not
option.
income tax.
Local option
Local
tax.
option tax. That could be helpful in the future for other projects that we might need to do, but.
There's no way that's coming up for a vote in March, is there?
We haven't gotten to that point yet, Richard.
Okay.
We're going to have more discussions on this. In fact, we did discuss this with the village because some of this money would go to the village.
Right.
Because they have businesses in the village.
Is it possible that might be on the March ballot too? Or
It is possible.
Possible?
It is possible.
Okay.
I'm not saying it's not going to happen.
So possible.
We just had an initial discussion at
Yeah.
this last meeting when we were talking about the the police proposal.
Yeah.
And, we were looking at this numbers and, we're going to have further discuss it. I think,
Right.
we have to put together a proposal of how that money is going to be used.
Yeah.
So we got a lot of work left to do on it, but
Yeah.
there's probably a 50% chance right now that it will be on the ballot in March.
Interesting. And feel free to keep going into this more. I guess a question that's popping into my mind is, just dealing with this public safety issue, big issue, is this affecting at all the community center, rec center issue, which you've been working hard on? Another issue that's, not a cheap date issue. Is that,
No,
that's not giving any, is that affecting that other issue at all?
Well, I don't really want to, and I don't think the board really wants to establish a priority here.
Yeah.
But,
But in terms of a vote, we got
What's
the public
affordable?
safety vote is coming up in March, and
Yes.
and the community rec center, I think you were talking maybe next, definitely not March, and maybe next November.
Yeah.
About a year hence
Yeah.
for the big election day.
I think it does have an effect on it.
Yeah.
If we try to go forward, raising all the money from the taxpayers,
Yeah.
I don't see it happening.
Yeah.
It's just too much.
Wow.
But with there other opportunities here.
And I know you've been hoping, obviously, to get some outside money, grants. Any news on that front at this point?
This is one thing that, and this hasn't been, this is a plan that we've been considering some things here lately. And what we're looking at is possibly.
You want to put this up on the screen? Is
Yeah,
that
you
a
can go
good
ahead and
time to do
put that up on the
Alan, if
screen
you-
right now. This is a.
Thank you.
Okay, and I hope the people can see it at
I
home.
didn't mean to cut you off on
Yep,
public
no,
safety.
that's
either.
fine. That's better looking than me.
And me.
This is the proposal that we've agreed on as far as building location and building, the way the building, design concept.
And we're talking the Jewett Street site here.
Well, we haven't agreed yet on whether it's going to be Jewett Street or Blake Street.
Or Blake Street.
But this is where the building, either entrance is going to be located.
Okay.
It's going to be a two-story building, at least a portion of it, so that you can come off the fields and go into the top story. And there probably, I'm sure there's going to be concessions in there, restrooms, whatever, for the people that are using the fields. And then you could go down. Now, there was some concern about an elevator, but I think this makes a visible, especially from Blake Street, it's going to be very visible.
Yeah.
Easy to access off the field. The parking issue is pretty much resolved because we're going to end up with around 170, with this design, 170 spaces.
Parking spaces.
Yeah, and everybody, even our engineer from Cross, consultant engineer, feels that is adequate for that size building.
Yeah.
Okay.
And again, the size of the building again?
10,000 square feet
10,000.
total.
Yeah.
So this is one thing that we've agreed on.
Yeah.
With the rec commission and the select board have all agreed, and this is what and the motion was made by the select board to go forward with this design, this concept here.
Yeah.
No decision has been made on whether it's going to be a Jewett Street or a Blake Street entrance. There's still some differences of opinion on that. I am very vocal, very adamant about Blake Street.
That you favor Blake Street?
Personally, yes.
Okay.
Whether
That in part because of the Swanton Lime issue?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Big
part
factor.
of that, plus there's more residential places along there. It's a narrower street.
Yeah.
I think we have more opportunities for sidewalks on Blake Street than we do on Jewett Street. And from Blake Street, if it's done right, that's going to be a very visible facility with a two-story design. Because we need to market that thing.
Yeah.
We need people using it, and they're not going to be just people from Swanton, so we need something that's marketable.
Yeah.
This is something that's taken place. Now, how do we pay for it?
And again, the rough price tag again is somewhere around $4.
Well, we were at 3.5. Now they're, it might be 4. But I believe we got to go forward with $5 million.
Really?
And this hasn't, nothing. This is not in stone now,
Sure.
Richard. This is just because we got to figure out how we're going to pay for this.
And again, there's no way this is coming up for a vote at town meeting on the rec center. No way.
No, because if we were just to go and ask the voters for $5 million, it's not going to happen.
Right. And it sounds like you're not there anyway. You need to nail this down.
No, we need to get the entrance nailed down, and we need to get into the fundraising.
Yeah, but
and
$5 million is the price tag, the rough price tag.
This is what, we're hoping it's not going to be that much, but we want our bases covered.
Yeah.
So right now, what we have.
There's some ARPA money already.
Some ARPA money. This is where I'm getting at.
Okay.
If you were looking at in a typical grant situation, 25% match.
Okay.
So that gets you in about 1.2 million that we'd have to come up with on our own.
Yeah.
We do have the 600,000 already committed from ARPA.
Yeah.
Now, I'm hoping that we can get into the fundraising. This is where I see this might be affordable.
Yeah,
If we get into the fundraising and we can, I mean, I don't think 400,000 is totally impossible to raise.
yeah,
And maybe more. The closer we get to that 1.2 million
yeah,
in terms of money from the private sector and ARPA,
yeah,
the less we're going to have to ask the taxpayers for.
yeah,
Then this becomes something that is possible.
yeah.
So we're,
So again, just to be clear, you've got the 600,000 in ARPA, again, American Rescue Plan
Yep.
Act money.
Yep.
And you're looking to at least double that for money you don't have to
If we're-
hit taxpayers for.
that would be really nice.
Okay.
That would be really nice.
Okay. Nothing yet in terms of
No,
the.
because we just starting this discussion.
Gotcha.
I know that Betsy Fournier, Chair of the Rec Commission,
Yeah.
and Brian Savage, our town administrator,
Yeah.
right now have put together requests for proposals for writing grants.
Yeah,
So that we have, professional people to do it. There'll be some cost there, but it's not going to be enormous. But
Yeah.
in this situation, it's certainly worth it because, these things are competitive. So
Sure.
we really do need a professional
Yeah.
to put something together with the
Yeah.
community's input. The fundraising part is going to be, the people involved. The Rec Commission is, going to have to do quite a bit of work there.
Yeah.
The Select Board's certainly willing to help, and we're hoping that we can get some support from the community and maybe even outside the community by other businesses that, their employees could use this facility. It's going to be work.
Yeah.
It's going to be work, but.
and that process is just kind of
That-
getting going now, kind
Yeah,
of.
but we haven't agreed on the procedures for doing this, but we've had this discussion, and once we start getting these requests for proposals back in, then this discussion is going to be carried on further. And my hope is we'll come up with a plan and get organized and start getting out there.
Is the main decision that you need to make at some point in the not-too-distant future, presumably either Blake or Jewett Street? Is that kind of
Yes, that'll be the final one, and that's been controversial, and, I have my own feelings about it. And I've been I've been very vocal.
That needs to get nailed down
Yes,
sooner than
but
later. I
I'm
assume.
very vocal in favor of Blake Street.
Yeah. What are the arguments? What are you hearing? What do the Jewett Street people say?
Well, the people that think that, because they're saying that Blake Street right now, the engineer is saying that it's kind of offline, and it is offline with Platt Street, but
Yeah.
of course Platt Street's not a major thoroughfare, so
Yeah.
there's not a hell of a lot of traffic coming out of there on a regular basis. And then you have our recreation trail, which goes kind of at an angle.
Right. I know it well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, maybe there might have to be some modifications made at that entrance. But I feel that it is just because of the openness of that entrance.
Yeah.
And
just making it more visible.
visible.
Yeah.
Easier, I think, and then the other issue on Jewett Street is the Shelburne Limestone
Right.
and Pike Industries.
Right. And Pike Industries,
Yeah.
yeah.
And, we've had the discussions.
Yeah.
When this first came up, I had concerns about what was originally proposed.
Yeah.
But we talked with the owners of Shelburne Limestone.
Yeah.
What's your future? What's your plans here in Swanton?
Yeah.
What can you do as far as, could you move your location?
Yeah.
It's not a really feasible thing for them to do, to
Yeah.
move their scales and their entrance
Yeah.
anytime in
Sounds
the
tough.
near future. And it's not as simple as everybody thinks, because there's still rock that there will be extracting.
Yeah.
And, if they were going to change the entrance, it could have an effect on their road system through there, which
Yeah.
could have a negative effect on their ability to extract in the future.
Yeah.
Business
They
is
got a
business.
lot more. They got years and years of extraction. There's still a lot of
They have,
product there.
and they're looking at a new a rock that's been there, but for a different purpose. It's
Really.
potentially could have a real positive effect on reducing phosphorus in the lake.
Really? Interesting.
You know, and they're doing, I think, from what they told us, they were having a lot of work done, and it's being done at Penn State
Oh, yeah?
to evaluate how effective this material would be in reducing phosphorus runoff.
Oh, interesting.
So if that happens to go, then I'm sure they're going to be probably even expanding.
Yeah. When do you hope to nail that down, Earl?
The street?
The Jewett Blake Street issue.
I'm hoping before the first of the year.
Yeah.
One way or the other, you know, and I could get outvoted on it, and I'll live with it. But but I think it's a major mistake if we don't have a really prominent, visible entrance to this facility,
Right.
because this is a facility that we're marketing this.
Right. So there'll be nothing on the March town meeting ballot about the community recs. You'll have, obviously,
Not money-wise.
whatever you're putting in for your recreation
Right.
budget, but nothing
Right.
specifically about the.
Not budget-wise.
Okay.
I'm not saying there wouldn't be some kind of question put out there, who knows, but not budget-wise, not in March.
Okay.
No.
So you might put out like a referendum
It's, you know, if we can't come to some kind of consensus on this Blake Street.
just ask
and-
voters which they
maybe
prefer?
that may have to come down to that.
really.
I don't know, you know. And there's a possibility, too. I mean, there was a lot of talk about that we have property on 4th Street that's sitting vacant,
Yeah.
unused. There was an opportunity to sell it 3 years ago, but there was a lot of concern by people in Swanton, especially the people that are involved in recreation, that we should not give up on that land yet because we need space.
You're not,
But at this-
you're not talking the former town garage?
Yes.
You are.
Yes, I'm
that's the
talking
site.
exactly what
Okay.
I'm talking about.
Okay.
And it made sense at the time because no plans have been up for what was going to be going on in the future. And as you can see, our present facility for recreation is not adequate.
Yeah.
So we knew something was going to happen.
And there are not too many people saying, "Hey, what you have is good enough." Again, it sounds like it always comes down.
That's right.
I think most people would say yes. You need better facilities.
Yes, I mean, the only argument is, do you need that much?
Sure.
So the 4th Street property, there may be something on that. We may have to come up with some kind of plan for that to make all this feasible.
And indeed, you were some years ago, I guess, you were pondering selling that.
Yes.
And into a lot of public reaction.
Yes.
No, we want it.
Yeah.
It's right by the rail trail and stuff. But again, you might have to think about that again.
But now, if we're going to make this major investment in facilities here, maybe something else can be done on 4th Street.
How big is that parcel, the 4th Street?
I believe it's around 2 acres.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And it's, you know, of course, got water and sewer.
Because there had been talk about residential, sell it. And,
residential, I mean, definitely ideal place for it. You know,
with schools right there, of course, the
and, you know,
school.
if you were going with, you know, apartments or something like that, you know, 2-3 bedroom apartment. It'd be an ideal place for that. You know, make it, and nobody's going to argue about housing. We need housing. Getting money for housing is probably easier than anything else right now. I mean, you could consider possibly even a daycare center. You know, big need for that.
Sure.
And that's something is getting a lot of attention now, and a lot of money out there. To do those type of things.
I guess the legislature helped out on that front, albeit with some more taxes, but whatever.
So you know,
a lot of issues.
It's a lot of stuff going on. I do feel that if we are successful in our fundraising and grant process with this rec facility, that this could very well happen.
But you'd feel a whole lot better if you could double that 600,000.
I would feel a lot better.
Any more ARPA? Is there any more ARPA money hanging around?
We got about 400. I'm going to say 450,000 left right now.
Is there a chance more of that might be thrown into the community rec center?
I'm sure there's a lot of people that would like to do that, Richard. I know the board is a little concerned because right now we have an issue with the library.
Right.
There's some structural issues there that weren't, you know, from when it was built, that wasn't done properly.
How old is that built? Is that another pretty old building?
Well, one part is old.
One part's old.
Then we have the new addition, but when they did the new addition, there were some things done that probably shouldn't have been done.
Really?
And now they're causing issues. Icing on the roof, and it's not easy problem to solve or not a cheap problem to solve. And until we get a handle on that and what the costs are going to be, and here again, we're looking at, we had our Laz Genghis took a look at this, came back and, had everything like a health inspector.
Yeah.
You're familiar with that one.
Yeah. Too familiar.
We didn't get a better inspection than Jennifer did.
Yeah.
So here we are. We're looking at a couple different ways of fixing this.
Yeah. But another issue you pretty much need to deal with at some point, huh?
We're going to have, it's got to be done.
Yeah.
I mean, it probably won't get done this year because we haven't got the plan in place, but
Right.
it's definitely going to have to be done next year.
Are you getting fairly...
So,
is there
but
an
let me
ARPA
finish on what I was saying, Richard. There's two ways that we can fix this right now, the way it looks.
Yeah.
And Laz is going to come back with a final proposal with all the options there and the rough costs. But just looking at what he presented 2 meetings ago is you can fix it for lower cost, but not the best way to do it.
Yeah.
And might not even be a permanent fix. Could be, but it might not be.
Yeah.
If we want to do the work that's necessary to eliminate the problem permanently, there's going to be, I don't know. I don't want to speculate on it, but I don't want to spend that $400,000 either.
Yeah. So you may need that for that.
And then we have roads. Swan Hill has been an issue for a long time.
Swanton Hill?
Yeah, Swan Hill. It's it's behind the hill here.
Yeah.
You have to go through. You can't get to it from Swan. You either go on French Hill Road.
No, I guess I know that.
Yeah.
That's right.
Or you go on Pond Road.
Can't get there from here.
Yeah.
Right.
But it is in Swan.
Right.
And there's a bad hill with a very steep corner, and actually over the last few years, I'm going to say the last probably 15 years, 2 trucks have rolled.
Really?
Fortunately, nobody's been hurt.
Wow.
But it's not a very good situation. It's cost the town a fair amount of money to go up there, just in time and fuel.
Basically just on one corner, kind of what, the southeastern corner of the town?
Yes, the southeastern corner.
Yeah.
And with the present road that's there now, there would be no interest by, we'll say, Fairfield's right there.
Yeah.
St. Albans town is right there with Fairfield. But they're not going to touch this road because it's just not safe.
Yeah.
If we could get that road fixed, we may be able to, in the future, make some kind of deal with either one of those towns. So they would do that section, and we would do a section of theirs that, is right next to us.
Yeah.
And, there's going to be some savings over time.
Yeah.
The time for the employee to drive up there, the fuel to burn, and the additional wear on the equipment.
Yeah.
And I think we would have a better service for the few residents that do live up there.
Yeah.
And they're all class 3 roads. We're obligated to maintain them. And so either we address this issue or we're going to stay with the same situation, and eventually something more serious could happen. And it's been talked about. When the ARPA money came in, it seemed like maybe this might be the opportunity, but it didn't last very long, that money.
Have you got I was going to ask you, there's a deadline? When do you have to nail down how you would spend ARPA money? Is that next?
Next year. We have to have a deadline on how it's going to be spent.
Okay.
And I believe it's, we have additional time before it's actually spent, but we have to have it all allocated by that point.
Okay.
And if we can't, but I got to tell you, Richard, and I tell people this all the time, don't worry about it, because we're not having no trouble spending that money. It'll be gone. We're not going to get any back.
Right.
It's just, we want to make sure that we're maximizing the return on that money, because it's a one-time thing.
So what'd you get? A little over $1 million, or what?
Right around $1.2 million, I believe.
About 1.2.
A little less than that.
Yeah, one time.
And at this point in time, we've already spent $100,000 on the library.
Really?
And we haven't addressed the most serious problem.
Wow.
So, I hate to commit any of that money until we have a handle on what that is going to be there at the library.
Yeah.
What that cost is going to be. Whether the board is going to go with a permanent solution, you know, and spend the extra money, I can't say right now. I would favor that because the town of Swanton's not going anywhere. The
Yeah.
building provides a lot of services for the community right now. And the use of that facility has been increasing.
Speaking of that, wasn't there an issue with the basement Swanton Historical Society? You had some
Yes, there was
basement
an issue
issues
with
there?
that too, but we have a plan to correct that.
Yeah,
And we made improvements we can make ourselves. Some of it was on the outside that the highway department was able to take care of. But now we have a proposal. We've accepted a bid to do the work down in the cellar to put drainage around the outside, so that won't ever be a problem in the future.
yeah,
You
it's
know.
good.
So,
But the library, aside from structural issues and stuff, library feels going along pretty well. I mean, pretty.
Yes, I think overall,
Yeah.
you know, the present staff there is doing a good job. They're bringing
Yeah.
people in.
Yeah,
And, you know, the facility is getting used.
yeah,
And, you know, it's a real asset to the community.
Yeah, for
So,
sure.
you know, we're not going to let it go anywhere.
I love libraries. No, I think
so-
libraries are huge assets.
Why nickel and diamond?
Yeah.
We might as well fix it right.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Yeah.
You know? And the board will have to make that decision here, and I'm hoping that we'll have some more information before the first of the year on
Yeah,
that, just in case we need to put something in the budget for that.
yeah. Speaking of the budget, any other things kind of out of the ordinary coming up in your budgeted town meeting? Sounds like
no.
you gotta, hopefully not.
The only thing that we're having a discussion on, and I think, you know, how this pans out, I don't know, but we're beginning to realize we need to get some kind of capital budget plan together.
And you don't have a capital budget plan now?
Not really. We have some, you know, kind of different accounts, but we don't have anything really committed. And this is where that local sales tax comes in.
Yeah,
This may be one way of funding that, so that in the future, when we come to these issues,
yeah,
we'll have some funding, you know, without having to always go back to the taxpayers for
I think
it.
Highgate, that's a town meeting I usually catch, still a regular town meeting.
Yeah.
We'll see, I guess they're gonna vote again on whether to do Australian ballot
Yeah.
for future town meetings
Yeah.
after 2024, but I think they've been putting a fair amount of money into a capital budget for
Yeah.
a while.
Yeah, and we're going to have to do it.
Yeah.
In this day and age, it's just too much,
Yeah.
and we got facilities. You know, I mean, there's going to be work that's going to need to be done at the town clerk's building. You know, at the town offices. In the future, we have an upstairs in that building that's not being utilized at all,
Oh, really?
and a big space up there.
Huh.
And right down in the downtown area, you know, maybe that could be something productive for the community in the future too. But where's all this money going to come from? The Historical Society be another example. You know, that space they have in the library in the cellar is not the ideal place for
It's
the
funny,
Historical
I
Society.
know the basement because I've looked for
Yeah.
books, all the used books and stuff.
Yeah.
I've been down there more than a few times, and yeah, not probably the nicest space.
I mean, it doesn't get seen.
Yeah,
You know, and there's a lot of interesting things that they have.
yeah,
That would be, you know, people in this community in Swan could see, but also people outside of Swan.
yeah,
You know, and it might be something that might help us draw, you know, more people in the community for recreation. And then they're coming in on the Lamoille Valley Rail Trail.
Yeah.
Well, here, you can go to the Swan Historical Site, and, you know, we
Yeah.
have the Railroad Museum. They,
yeah.
you know,
I was
something
about to
else.
ask about the Railroad Museum, so that's just pretty much, it's not heated in,
It's heated,
It is heated.
but the facility probably, they'd have to go downstairs there too.
Yeah.
And they do have some other stuff stored, and it's questionable
There's not a lot
whether
of it in
it
there.
would be, you know, big enough, and it certainly wouldn't give the kind of viewing space you might want to consider for
Yeah.
a historical society.
yeah,
So, you know, it's something that's going to have to be dealt with in the future, but where's the money going to come from?
yeah,
Now, I know the Historical Society has been fairly successful in the past in raising money on their own for the things they've done. You know, but maybe this local option sales tax would, some of that money, maybe we can make a grant to them in the future once they get a plan
Right.
in order to have something like that.
Earl, speaking of March Town meeting, I assume 2 select board members are up?
Yeah.
And who's that? Am I
My-
looking at one of them or not?
Nicole Draper
Yeah.
and myself.
And yourself?
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
begs the question at this point. Boy, I hate to think how much time you're putting into your beloved town of Swanton at this point, every day or week or whatever. You're thinking, are you likely to run for reelection? Or you plan to run for reelection?
Yes, I do plan to run
Yeah.
for reelection, and I don't want to discourage anybody
Sure.
from running against me.
Sure.
I think having a contest is
Yeah.
a great thing.
And you've had. I interviewed the candidates last time around. Losing candidates, very solid. Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of good candidates.
there was
Has Nicole said whether she plans
Not
to
yet,
run again?
not yet. And,
Hasn't said.
That question's going to have to be asked
Sure.
too, because it's getting close to that time
Yeah.
of year.
Yeah.
But I encourage people to get involved
Yeah.
and to run.
Yeah.
It creates discussion. We
Sure.
need more people involved.
Sure.
In order the more people are involved in the community,
Sure.
the better the community is.
Absolutely.
And it's a place where, and if you want the community to be a place where your kids want to stay,
Yeah.
then you're going to have to make an effort
Yeah.
to make it that way. I mean, we don't have all the answers.
Yeah.
You know.
Do you feel you've done better? Are you getting some more community? Of course, you had the Vermont Council on Rural Development in town a few years ago, the Swanton Enhancement Project.
Yes,
You
it's-
feel like you've gotten some more people involved?
Yes, it's been very helpful. I
Yeah.
believe, I certainly feel that way, the Swan Enhancement Project, and there are other subcommittees.
Yeah.
In fact, we're going to, hopefully have a discussion here in the very near future with the Beautification Committee.
Yeah.
Downtown beautification, and there's some things I believe we can do that's going to make Swanton more attractive when when people are driving into it.
Yeah.
And it's only happening because these people are involved.
Right. No, that's right.
So that has been very helpful, and we want to kind of keep this momentum going forward.
Yeah. Down to about 3 minutes. You got 3 minutes to talk about whatever you want to talk about. If there's some issues we haven't gotten into much, you got
Well,
3 minutes.
I just want to remind people that on December 4th
Yeah, key
at
meeting.
7 o'clock, we're
Yeah.
going to have another meeting, and that's going to be a discussion on this police proposal.
Yeah.
We should have all the numbers in for the fire department and the additional costs that is going to have on the budget.
And
We
this is
really.
at the Village Complex.
Yes, at the Village Complex,
Monday,
7
December
p.m.
4, 7
Yep.
p.m. Village
Yep.
Complex.
And really need people. I'm hoping people show up. This is a very important issue. It needs to be discussed in the community. Everybody needs to be clear about what's transpiring here. And once again, I want to say what the issue really comes down to is, do you want 20 hours, 7 days a week coverage in the town of Swanton?
Yeah.
So this is what it's all about. There's a lot of other side issues, and you could get petty about some of them.
Yeah.
But when it gets at the end of the day,
Yeah.
that's what it's about.
Yeah. No, it sounds like you still have a little bit of time. Question, are you running into, or for yourself or the board, any second thoughts, any regrets about the rec path sidewalk from MVU to the village limits that basically got,
Glad you brought that up,
Yeah,
Richard.
yeah.
No, absolutely
No.
not at this present
I
time.
guess you got enough.
But
you got
here,
enough,
I got to report this tonight. Actually, tonight there's a meeting at the Village Complex, and what time was it? I don't know if
And
that
again,
was at 6.
That's
gotta hear-
people won't be watching this before then. So,
Oh, okay, all right, they won't.
but on November 27th.
All right, what's going on is now they're doing a study on exit 21
Huh,
because of the traffic issues there.
huh.
Of course, they wanted to put a sidewalk
You
through
get
there.
a real backup, and I guess people coming back after work.
Yeah, so you want to put a sidewalk through that kind of situation.
Yeah.
Never made any sense to me.
Yeah.
Now that they're going to address this, it doesn't mean that the sidewalks can't come back in the future.
Huh, okay.
If they do some kind of intersection improvement there, and I've been kind of keeping my eye on, I've been going down, I don't go to Costco's, but I took that exit just to see, because
right.
I was told they're building a sidewalk through there.
Oh, really?
Now they haven't. That's what all that work under the underpass underpass
Yeah.
was done for, but I still don't see a sidewalk yet.
Interesting. We're just down to about 20 seconds, too.
Well, I want to thank you, Richard, for giving us this chance, and I want people of Swanton to get involved, especially in this police issue, and because it's very important. It's a big decision for this community, and I think it's going to have a positive or negative impact on the community, whatever decision we make.
Okay, and again, one
Thank you,
last
Richard.
time, hey, Earl, thank you. Covered a lot of ground. Again, Monday, December 4th, 7 p.m., Village Complex for the meeting, and
Yes.
hopefully it'll be a good turnout.
Be there.
Thanks to Earl Fournier, the Swanton Selectboard Chairman, my man Alan Cunningham, our hardworking producer. I'm Richard Cowperthwait. Thanks for watching Northwest Access TV. See you next time. See ya.